Today's episode of Character Issues, we're going to talk about the People's Robin. That's my guy, Tim Drake. So, Tim Drake, Tim Jackson Drake, Robin, Red Robin. Height, 5'6", weight, 142. Now, these are stats from when he was a teenager. I think they've aged him up in the book. It's really been inconsistent since they've decided to make him Red Robin, which I have an issue with. But let's get it. Let's put my boy up on the screen so y'all know what I'm talking about. This is Tim Drake. The signature bow staff is kind of Tim Drake's calling card as Robin. So when you see the bow staff, typically you're dealing with Tim Drake. I know that the iterations, Tim Titans cartoon, I think it's going to be Dick with the bow staff. I think that's who that Robin is supposed to be. But any other iteration you see with the bow staff is you're going to be talking about Tim Drake. Okay. I say Tim Drake's the people's Robin. So follow me on this one. I know y'all ain't going to like me, but follow me on this one. His affiliations with the Batman family. And then later he's with the Teen Titans. And he just kind of shifts between these identities because DC doesn't quite know what to do with him. Tim Drake doesn't have powers, but he has brains. He's outside of Batman and the Batman family. He's considered the one right below Batman in terms of detective skills. He's also the Robin that's known to actually physically hit the hardest because his fighting style is super efficient, no wasted motion. On top of being the master martial artist and acrobat and strategist and hacker, he's probably the most balanced Robin in a couple of different senses. He's probably the most grounded Robin. So the third Robin after Dick Grayson left to become Nightwing, kind of started on his own, and Jason Todd died. He was the third Robin. He is the one they brought in because they realized he needed to be there to help Batman not become just this machine and interject some humanity into Batman's life. He actually deduced who Batman's alter ego was. And I say Batman's alter ego because it's not Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's Batman is Bruce Wayne. Batman considers himself Batman. Now, that's probably something that he needs to unpack in therapy, but we're not here to talk about that right. He earned the mantle. It wasn't through tragedy, even though they had to make it tragic because that's just how it is. You're not allowed to have parents in the DC. But it was his detective ability. And he deduced Batman and Robin's identities by the age of 9. So he's a whiz kid. He's the most cerebral Robin. Like, he is often called Batman's true heir in terms of his mental acuity. One of the things is Ra's al Ghul, however we say it, actually recognized Tim Drake as detective. That's a big deal because that's a title he reserves for Batman. But he's called Tim Drake detective. So, bro's official. Martial arts trained by Batman, Lady Shiva, Nightwing. Pretty much everybody else that's worked with Batman in some degree has trained Tim Drake. Staff fighting specialist and master in many disciplines. Hardest hitting Robin. Every strike maximizes momentum, body weight, efficiency. And even Lady Shiva has respected his skill after their sparring match. So put some respect on my bros, man. Expert hacker and often the team leader for the Titans and Young Justice when he is put in that position. When he's on the team, they typically defer to him to call the shots. His best feats, he held his own against Superboy Prime. I don't know how he did it. I mean, I know there's plot armor there, but yeah, that's kind of what it is. And he's outmaneuvered Deathstroke, which is a feat in and of itself because Batman has gotten his ass beat by Deathstroke before. It has to happen at some point in time. Deathstroke's going to beat your ass. So I know that a lot of fans overlook Tim Drake, but for me, that's the Robin I grew up with. They killed all Jason Todd in the late 80s. I didn't like his character, so I wasn't too sad. But Tim Drake is the one that I read during the 90s, and he was my Robin. And I know they kind of break it down. Tim Drake, in my estimation, is mini Batman. That is little Batman. Damian Wayne is little Jason. That's little Jason Todd. You have mini Batman and mini Jason. That's how I separate the two. So writers sometimes flatten him into the nerd Robin with the laptop, and they don't really give him a lot of other leeway except for being smart, ignoring that he is the most balanced Robin of them all. And Tim is proof that you don't need powers, or up until Captain Boomerang killed his dad, you don't need a tragic edge to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Bat family. Just need brains and discipline. Now, my problem with how they've kind of depicted him is he's always kind of a third wheel in recent memory. They did the Red Robin thing. I don't know what they're doing with him now. He's always Robin that gets kind of put off to the side. I know a lot of it was DC had an issue with legacy characters, and Tim Drake got caught in the buzzsaw. And I honestly believe the only reason they didn't make Dick Grayson Robin again was just because they really couldn't. He was Nightwing, and that was it. Like they couldn't. Nightwing had established his own legacy as a character, and they couldn't really shoebox him back into the Robin character. But so they just kind of skipped it and said, all right, so we can't do Jason Todd. He's Red Hood now. We can't do Dick Grayson. We're going to skip Tim Drake and we're going to go to Damian Wayne. And that's kind of how it's been. And there's been other Robins. Like we had a Black Robin. Lil Bro's name escapes me, but they put him in there for a moment. We've had Stephanie Brown, who was Robin. Spoiler, we had the one from the Demented run that Frank Miller did. And so there's been all kinds of Robins. I know my question is, how is Batman training these children so fast? And given his spectacular failure rate with keeping these kids alive, consistently alive or unharmed, why do people continue to sign up to be his sidekick? You can deduce everything. You can't deduce that this dude has like a 75% mortality rate as his sidekick. At some point in time, you're going to end up dead or incapacitated or hurt or something. Something horrible is going to happen to you if you're Robin. So my problem with it is how they've been presenting him. I would love for them to actually spend some time, and even if they do some kind of soft reboot after this absolute run is over, when they remerge the universes, which is coming because DC can't keep anything awesome for too long. And that's Marvel too. We can't keep anything great for that long. I hope that they actually put Tim Drake as the head Robin, but I like Tim Drake as Robin, bro, and I feel like he doesn't get enough shine. And I mean, do it with Robin for a long ass time. I think people forget that. Tim Drake's the people's Robin, bro. I'm standing on my square. If you disagree with me, hop in the comments. If you agree with me, hop in the comments. Let's just keep it civil and respectful, and we can talk. We can chop it up. In my mind, he's really Batman's heir when it comes to being a detective. He's the hardest hitting Robin in combat, and he's just the most balanced in terms of skill set. Done right, he's the Robin that represents the perfect middle ground for the Bat family. Done wrong, he is reduced to the nerd over there with the bow staff. Put some respect on Tim Drake as Robin, bro. DC, I really need y'all to lock in and give me something interesting with Tim Drake. It's time. He has a huge fan base. We out here. It's time. We're not shading any other Robin. Well, I will shade Jason Todd. That's going to come up. We're not shading any other Robin, though, but let's put some respect on Tim Drake's name. This has been Bryon with Blerding While Dad. This has been Character Issues. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to y'all later. Peace.